Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Talk Trackmania. We are here, I would say once again, it feels like it's been a little bit of a time since we were last coming in front of your screens, so you are free to call us the part-time podcast people now. I came up with that a few minutes ago. But yeah, we are back once again. We have Let's Talk Trackmania episode, I believe, 38 or 39 we are on now. So we are still getting into some high numbers here, and we now, of course, now that we're back, we have some things that we have missed, things that we are now here to talk about, and we'll see what, of course, my lovely esteemed colleagues here have to bring up here as Turbo is suffering due to a pineapple he ate, by the looks of things. But yeah,
so between my teeth though, it's like so weird. It's like here, but it's not going out.
So if anyone wants to know why Turbo's just sitting here like, yeah, he had pineapple. But it's all good. We'll forgive him with it. We currently are, as I said, around about episode 38, 39, something like that, and we have a whole month of August to recap. But before we get into that, once again, the podcast, as always, or when we are able to do it, is brought to you by esac.gg. So once again, big reminder to check that out for some ongoing and hopefully upcoming events which will be happening. But we are back. I suppose I am back, at least, and we have our lovely two other people. I never really... I make a point to find out which direction the two of them are, but I always forget, but so it's fine. Turbo,
I'm supposed to be in the middle. No.
Shorty, are you guys okay? It's been a while. Are you all okay?
Yeah, well, busy times with my study and also streaming. I'm currently organizing a small tournament and then streaming, friends, so many things going on, but I'm happy because I love to talk about that, and we didn't have that in a long time, but I was also very busy with exams and stuff, so I'm happy to be here again, actually, talking about the game that we all love, or partially love, because you're not that active anymore, Paul, but still you are here and dedicated to that, and yeah, I'm doing good. What about both of you?
Yeah, I'm also doing great. I'm happy we can finally meet each other again and have this talk, because I do enjoy it, and I mean, especially at least with Scotsman, we out of this talk we don't really interact with each other, so I'm always happy to see your face. I just don't know how to word it any better than that.
But see, if there wasn't such a blue glow coming in, you would see how much I would be blushing because of that. Maybe I'll go purple, we'll see. But yeah, good to hear you guys have been keeping well, and always good to see some faces as equally as beautiful as mine. Oh no, wait, sorry, that's just me looking at my own camera output. But we are... I don't know anything about Trackmania anymore, so I'm just going to talk shit, okay? But no. So we're back, and it has been, I think, 3 weeks, maybe 3 or 4 weeks or something like that since we were last here. I can't remember even what we were talking about. I looked at it about 10 minutes ago, but I've already forgotten. But we have missed out on a few things. We were talking, we've got a few kind of topics, a few kind of parts we want to cover. We did not manage to cover the finals of ZRT last time around. We also have things like the TSCC, the Seasonal Country Championship, I believe it's called, and a few other little things here and there. Of course, Turbo's event that he's making. I mean, we can maybe talk about that. I mean, is that a conflict of interest, perhaps? But no. Yeah, I mean, I've obviously not really been that active in Trackmania. That's no secret. I don't hide it. But have you guys been as lazy as me, I suppose, or as sidetracked as me, Turbo? You said you've been doing a lot of studying and you have still been doing a lot of streaming. What have you been up to Trackmania wise?
Yeah, I was playing a lot of Kaki actually. Also, I mean, I remember when I met Toby, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago.
We actually met too.
Yeah, we actually met too, because he's not living too far away. I remember I was grinding the hell out of Kaki. I was playing till 5 a.m., taking the train at 8. Then we meet up with a friend and also with Toby, of course, who's also a friend or has become a good friend of mine. And yeah, I was grinding, but I got a bit burned out from that, actually. So I'm just going to produce other content because it can be really draining playing all this Kaki content. But yeah, I was also involved with not a lot of casts, actually. So there's the event, how you say that? The event frequency has simmered down a bit, unlike last year where we had a lot of events just after the game release. And I was finally able to cast something again this or the previous weekend with the TSCC. But other than that, I was focusing on my stream, not being involved in too many casts because there were also not too many events. And yeah, Kaki gave me a burnout. That's just say it like that, like just a mental burnout. I mean, quote unquote, because I cannot stand those maps anymore.
Yeah, you're not been massively hooked into Kaki yet, Shorty. I think I might know the answer to that, but
Oh, well, the thing with Kaki is it's actually not that bad, It's actually quite enjoyable. I just didn't get to, I started playing it a little bit, a couple of hours, but then around the time, a couple of days afterwards, I had a training camp and I was busy, and since then I just didn't pick it up again, actually. And I just enjoyed watching other people play those maps instead, and just listened in on them because
secondhand suffering.
Kaki is just kind of a late night stuff thing for me because people just play it and they don't even concentrate on it because Kaki is Kaki, so they just talk random shit all night. That's how Kaki works for me. That
sounds like us without the gameplay.
Exactly.
With more alcohol.
We could literally do the same thing you're doing right now, just play Kaki on the side. It wouldn't make a big difference.
I finished 80.
Would we actually finish something though? That's the question. But no, but yeah, I mean, I'm technically also a student, so
What do you mean technically?
So technically, I did student stuff, mostly writing the exam, not preparing for the exam, obviously, but writing it and then partying afterwards for the rest of the day.
So yeah, technically a student then.
Technically a student, exactly. But yeah, other than that, now I'm stuck in a new training camp. But I mean, I watched that on T actually. I did watch that on T because I was genuinely interested in the semifinals of Carl Jr. and Bren. Wait, Carl Jr.
Carl Jr.
Yeah,
and Kenny.
Bren and Kenny. Yeah, I was sure about Kenny, but I wasn't sure about Bren. So I was genuinely.
Whatever, they're French.
Yeah, same thing.
No, but I was really interested in seeing that, so I did watch that and I did also enjoy it. And other than that, I mean, I'm playing Kappa today almost every single day, except right now, obviously. I recently picked up streaming myself, which turned out to be quite enjoyable and working quite well so far. I'm currently stuck in training.
Hold on. Since Shorty has started streaming, where can you find Shorty to watch his streams?
Yeah, you have changed your name actually.
Yeah, I did change my name for the Twitch prefix, but I also kind of like the new name. It's way clearer than the DE stuff before. It's just Shorty2 without an O. So just, Shorty without an O and the 2 at the end.
So it's Shorty2.
Yeah, it's Shorty.
I just posted it here in the chat. Look at that.
There we go.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I can also just write hi. Go really close to the camera as well while doing that. But I actually didn't press enter. Yeah, it's difficult, difficult. But just I mean, not that much going on apart from that. I'm just trying to map stuff, basically.
I also mapped yesterday, actually.
Yeah, I tuned in a little bit. I sneaked in on that a little bit.
So much fun.
Yeah, I know. Mapping is quite fun, actually, right?
I've touched a map editor once in my life, so.
And you probably never will again. That would be interesting.
Oh, you don't want to see me map. I think I once, when the game came out, opened up the map editor and messed around with it a little bit. I got angry and I think Rioter was bullying me about my map, and never again. So it's that was a tragic time in my life. Being bullied by Rioter about my fucking
Can't be
failed.
way more. Can't be that much more tragic than your competitive career.
I mean,
Wait, which competitive career are we talking about?
I mean,
I started it, you made it worse.
I mean, I can't even be mad because, I mean, yeah, there's not really anywhere I can hide from that, I suppose. But yeah, I see how it is, guys. I see how it is. I've completely gone off track now. I've just been obliterated, and I don't know how to come back from it. But yeah, I played Trackmania.
I don't know how to come back from it, and instantly proven your point.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Shorty. I play Trackmania as well.
Yeah.
Nice
Hi, I'm
to meet
Scotty.
you.
I used to play Trackmania.
You don't even play it anymore. That's
I did play some TMNF recently, so there. I'm now I'm gonna maybe slowly evolve into one of those people. Do you know what's going to happen, right? You know the plot of the prequels of Star Wars, where they have Anakin Skywalker and how he is raised to be like the hope of the Jedi Empire, but he then turns out to be Darth Vader.
Mm-hmm.
So that's me, in the sense of I swore to destroy all of the TMNF people, but now I've actually become one of them. So I'm going to be the Darth Vader of Trackmania. That's basically what's going to happen. So in the future, whoever I then inspire to become in Trackmania is going to come back and destroy my legacy and, you know, all the rest of that kind of stuff. But yeah, as far as actual talking about Trackmania instead of just my failures, of which we could have a whole podcast for that, with many video clips and a good few drunk podcasts in there just for some colour content as well, I reckon. So yeah, one of the things which you did mention there, Shorty, about what's been happening in the past few weeks that you did manage to catch up on was ZRT. Now, it is a few weeks now to cast our minds back to it, but instead of saying, oh, what did you think about it when you saw it, because obviously it was a few weeks ago or something like that, what's the feeling you get from the ZRT Cup now that you're a few weeks down the line? Now that the hype for it's kind of died down, it's came to the end of its cycle. Now, you know, we won't hear anything about ZRT Cups or whatever for the next 6 months. How are you guys feeling about ZRT Cup now a few weeks later?
Well, at least for my speaking for myself, I think without the Kenny team, I probably would have basically forgotten it already. I think the only reason it's still sort of at the back of my mind, or the only things I do remember, is just watching the Kenny team, you know.
Yeah.
Basically, that's it. You know, it was a fine tournament, of course. Nothing too fancy there. But yeah, that's the only thing I actually remember, because that was the most exciting thing about it. But I'm happy that they did the team the way they did it.
I mean, I had to think about who actually won, but then of course Grandpa Pooh and Aurel were playing together. But
yeah, true.
It didn't give me didn't give a big footprint in Trackmania. I don't know. I think the event itself was cool, but then 3 matches, only one team going through. And you just had to wait. There were some cool matches. Also, the Carl Jr. brand strategy was very cool, because they just literally waited for Kenny. And I think Kenny wasn't even last, but then they, of course, had no points, and Kenny had to win a round. So unfortunately, it's like the same for me. I was watching together with Lars and Marius, but unfortunately we couldn't watch. I think they were in match number 3. We couldn't watch that together, so I was missing that, and I also didn't watch the final then, because it was whatever. I was streaming then, and it was not that exciting for me, to be honest, because there was also no English team that I can cheer for. Maybe Plasterix, Marius and Lars themselves would have made it, or Ins, Marmelade, this team around. You know, this would have been cool, but of course it was very French heavy, which is not bad, of course. But I also really like that idea with this camp, with I think it was a Piccadilly or your circus or however you call that, and then they were just in there playing, and one team is representing each team. That was a cool idea, but in general, I don't know. I really had to think about that, and 3 weeks on the internet is a lot. So I don't know. I mean, have you guys maybe in the chat followed it too much? I would also be interested in that, or is it like already forgotten? Let's say it like that.
For me, the problem with the final and stuff is like, of course, the stage is cool, and the idea of having one player every there is perfectly great. And the problem is just that we're not the target. Like we're not the target. You know what I'm trying to say, but I can't think of the word right now.
You're not the target demographic.
Anyway, you're not the target dot of it. Yeah, exactly. The thing is, target audience. It's audience. Anyway, we're just not the target audience of it at all, because we don't speak French. That's the problem. It's really hard for me to enjoy it, even though I know I watched it and I was like, this is probably really cool stuff, but if you don't understand shit about it, like not even a little bit, like it's difficult to follow. And then you don't follow the show, you just follow the match itself, and the match itself was just a normal Trackmania match. You watch that for the show, for exactly what he's providing there, and that's just something that we, not understanding French, can't feel, can't grasp, can't experience. So obviously for us it's just a normal event, when for others it's probably a really nice show, and they wait 1 year for it every single year, and they enjoy it.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Yeah, it's in a very interesting place that not a lot of kind of tournaments or events occupy in, any sort of competitively based game, in the sense that it has such a massive pool, but it has such a massively isolated pool. I mean, you might have tournaments that are more regionally based, like say an Asian tournament or a North American tournament, but they're still going to be able to pull in a lot more outside of that demographic. A lot of people watch North American Counter-Strike, for example, or a lot of people, watch some, say, League of Legends tournaments. Well, no, League of Legends is a bad example, but things like Dota tournaments that are held, around the world and things like that. Whereas with Trackmania's Zerator Cup, of course, it has, a massive amount of interest and popularity, but only for a very small amount of people, and it's very inclusive in that way. We've spoke about the language barrier and all the kind of rest of that kind of thing. But for me, let me introduce something to you guys, which was a kind of feeling I got from it, and let me know what you think. Now, I didn't really feel that hyped for this, going through this tournament, if I'll just say it like that. Now, going through the ZRT Cup, one of the things that really struck me was the lack of people who were not French, who were competitive in it. There were plenty of people competing. However, no one got to the final 6 or 9 teams. No one got to the final, which I believe is 9 teams, if I do remember correctly. So 9 teams of 3 people, 27 players. So no one got there who's not a French speaker. Now, in that kind of sense, that's fantastic. It shows that the French-speaking nations have great depth. But also, it felt like a lot of the other teams either, just were not as well prepared or didn't take it as seriously. Now, that's perfectly understandable for this kind of event, because you're putting in a significant amount of more effort for, less than you would get for another tournament, prize money-wise, for example, if you were to get it. And a lot of the exposure isn't going to be relevant to you anyway, because it's all going to be coming from people who, may not, you don't necessarily share that kind of common ground with. But that was one of the things that really contributed to me not feeling a lot of the hype for this. Is like, you had your trio, I think it was Pack, Spam and Massa or something like that, and it was flat because they weren't prepared. They weren't very well prepared for it. And like, you had your other trios which were not able to get through to the final stage. And I guess that's something with what you're saying about the target audience in this. But I think combined with it being essentially an online event, I know they kind of wrangled some LAN section into it a little bit previously. I think it's just it's kind of falling into that feeling a little bit it's kind of falling into that, we were saying a few podcasts back about how all the events are kind of blending into one now. Like, nothing's really standing apart a lot because everything's online now. Everything's done almost the same way online. Zerator might be a special version of that, but I just didn't feel like it was. I don't think it was a bad tournament, but I just didn't feel really as excited by it as I think I would have been by previous ones. Is that? Did you guys get any of that, or is this just me being a fucking moany old bastard as usual?
No, I definitely agree with that, but I was also not that involved in this tournament. But I think a lot of the English-speaking persons were not that involved. I don't know why that was the case, but maybe because it was also the effort that you put in and the money, or the outcome for you as a maybe English-speaking player. I mean, if Zerator, let's say you win, and if you're on stage and blah, I mean, what you of course would get something out of that, but usually most of the people who watch Zerator are French and most likely don't want to watch an English content creator. Maybe of course some are going, but yeah, I mean, I think there are different reasons. Also the maps, there were a lot of maps. Again, maybe that's also the case, but we also had that in the previous edition. But I don't know what's the reason. Why haven't I practiced that much? I just didn't really had the motivation to that. Maybe that was also the issue for the other teams, because most of the French teams were that fast. I have no idea. But also maybe the trio format, that you have to find a trio and also players on your skill level. We have seen the duo format already in 2019. It was really, for me, it was a mental breakdown to find a suitable team member that is on my skill level. And maybe that was the case for the trio format as well. I don't know. Maybe you didn't want to disappoint anyone. Maybe that's why you didn't play. We've seen a lot of changes, but we should have seen a solo I mean, to compare it, we should see a solo format very soon. But of course, I don't know. I have no idea when or what is going to happen the next year and also in the next couple of months. It was Speed Self who was talking about a retro cup. Not sure what that is actually. No idea.
I'm assuming it's a cup of old maps.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
wait. Wasn't Jean René hosting that or someone like that in Trackmania 2 or something, right?
Most likely, I'd imagine.
I think so, right? It was not an official Zerator event.
Yeah.
Imagine that one having more prize money than the official Zerator Cup.
I mean, also prize money.
Interesting.
Yeah, prize money in Trackmania. I mean, that's...
Yeah. I saw the Discord post from Granadi earlier posting that $40,000 prize money tournament for Stardew Valley. And you're like, how the fuck do you even play competitive Stardew Valley now? How does that even look like? Do they just farm? Who farms the cricket? I have no idea. I'm actually interested in finding out though. Like, how the fuck do you do that?
Yeah,
but it's
like Farming Simulator as well. That's got an esports scene. I had like a 250k tournament or something like that.
That's actually true as well. Oh, I totally forgot that. Where does the money come from in those events sometimes?
Trackmania just needs sponsors, really. But I mean, we were talking about that for the 20th time now.
Do you know what we clearly need, right? We clearly need tractors in the game. That must be what we're missing, right? Stardew Valley might have tractors. You're
onto one.
I'm quietly confident Farming Simulator has tractors. So maybe that's the key to success.
Yeah.
But before I get too sidetracked, the reason I kind of brought this up and what I thought might be a possible reason is we talk about old tournaments, right? We talk about we spoke about it when we were talking about Tech's kind of demise over the past kind of year or two, is how we enjoyed Tech tournaments in the past, despite there being no prize money, despite there being no real kind of incentive to play them other than the prestige that you got from winning a tournament like that. Now, what brought that prestige was that there was a lot of the best names playing. There's a lot of top players involved, back then you pretty much had everyone who was who's who of the Trackmania Tech scene was playing all of these kind of cups. Now, you look back at even when Tech was kind of moving out a little bit, You look back to the From Zero to Hero tournament, didn't really have that strong of a prize pool. Didn't really have, big name streamers or something like that. It didn't have, a lot of that kind of thing. But it had all of the best names there playing. And I think that the ZRT Cup is kind of thriving in its own sense. You're having a lot of French known players. A lot of these kind of people who have came up through this scene or who have kind of thrown themselves into this scene. We talk about, like, say, Carl Jr., for example, who's kind of almost adopted ZRT cups and has thrived in them, of course. And then you have some other players, like, some of the other trios we were seeing performing extremely well that have grown up inside of this. But you're seeing less and less each year relevance from outside of France, less and less relevance from other players outside of France, other teams outside of France. And I think that's the feeling it's giving for me, is that you just don't attach the same prestige to it, because you're looking through this list of people and seeing, I don't even know who that guy is, yet he's, and you're thinking, where are all these other people that I know could beat them? Like that's the kind of mentality for some people. They associate these people as being on a much lower level than, I don't know, say for example, Omnipots came back, right? Omnipots associated being, the father of fucking Kaki and, an extraordinarily good tech player. And people place him all the way up here. Yet some of your people that are reaching ZRT finals are a few levels below that. So they don't associate the same prestige to the event because they just simply don't know the players who are playing it, And I think that's the years of, the isolation of ZRT Cup really speaking there, if we'll say it like that. But yeah, I mean, it's always nice to watch. It's always kind of interesting to watch. But my kind of final thought on it, which I'll kind of leave up to use after that, is this edition felt a little bit like it felt like with this edition it was very clear that this is just a place filler. Like, you would have had the bigger, the super big one if you could have, but this one's just a place filler until you can do that super big one. It's a space filler to me. So it didn't feel that same, pizzazz to it, so to speak. I don't know if you guys got that impression at all.
Yeah, I agree with that. Also with the 2020 version, of course, the pandemic was still very, very ongoing. We didn't know what will happen next year and the years after that. But of course, now there's maybe a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, but maybe also not. We were talking about that for like almost a year now. But yeah, I that gave me the feeling as well. With the other Zerator Cup, we had that, okay, the new game came out, new blocks, new style. The hype was there. Everyone was playing, and now was like, we are waiting for the tournament, and then it is eventually coming next year. I hope so, at least, or we hope so. But yeah, it felt like a placeholder with a trio edition. But yeah, I hope that Zerator Cup next time will build up some more hype for me. Maybe it's just a wrong impression that we've had. Maybe Scotty, Toby, and me. I don't know. Could be, but I think a lot of people had that, especially in the English community. But of course, as you said, it's like the French community is really rising, which is not a bad thing. But it feels like that for the Zerator Cup, it feels like that the English community is like not really caring too much about it anymore, compared to 2019, 2018, where we've had a lot of great players playing there and also going far. Let's just take Tween and Kappa, for example. They also didn't play this season or this edition, and also some other players who haven't played. So it's unfortunate, but I think that's just how the things go. But yeah, we can definitely talk about the future of the events afterwards, because August has ended, the summer break is over, because Trackmania was not really busy in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. It hasn't been as busy, although I think it's just the game in general just really isn't as busy on the kind of tournament front. I think someone said recently something really bizarre, like this is the first week where TM2 will have more events than TM 2020, or this month or something like that. And I thought that was really bizarre. I think that was like the Mania calendar people that put that out. But one of the events which has really been catching my eye, and I've kind of been very interested to see the development though, is the TSCC, the Trackmania seasonal, or the seasonal country championship. Which,
exactly, that's the name.
Which has really been catching my eye about it. And I don't know if you guys seen the kind of list of people that are participating, but there's 28 different countries that are being represented, and some of course that I would expect, but some I was really quite positively surprised by, not only in terms of the actual teams that the nations that were represented, but also the fact that when I saw a nation represented, it wasn't immediately players I would associated with that, so showing that there is some fresh interest coming off of these nations. So just to give you guys a little bit of an overview of what kind of teams we had Australia, we had Austria, not to be confused, we had Belgium, we had Brazil, the Czech Republic, Denmark. I'm looking at flags here, so I hope I get all these right or someone's going to shout at me. We got Estonia, we got Finland, we got 2 Frances, 2 Germanys, Indonesia, pardon me. So Rezier's going to come beat me up. Ireland, somehow. Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Malaysia, the Netherlands, upside down Indonesia's Poland, Portugal, Romania, Russia, South Africa. I was going to say South America there. Two Spains, so double Spain, Turkey, 2 Englands, and a Wales. So,
did you say Finland?
Yes, I did say Finland. Tattoo's not going to beat me up, don't worry. But yeah, 28 different countries there. And like I was saying, like when I looked at... did I? Yes, I did miss Chile.
Party malting. You missed Chile.
Oh yeah, fair enough. I meant to say Finland if I didn't say Finland. I meant to say Chile if I didn't say Chile. But yeah, when we're talking about say someone like Australia, you would expect people like say Mudda, or you would expect a Simply Nick or something like that. Neither of them are part of the lineup. When you think about Germany's second lineup is traditionally who you would expect. Germany's first lineup, I didn't have a clue who any of them are. And that's not a bad thing. That's fresh people who are interested and getting more involved in the kind of competitive side, you know. I was stunned to see that the UK managed to field 4 teams, but that's really nice to see as well. Romania putting out a team, Spain putting out 2 teams. I thought Spain didn't exist anymore. Javi Flyers playing for them, which is even more bizarre. It's like if I've entered like a multiverse or something like that of Trackmania. I don't really know what's going on, but nice to see some involvement also from, some continents which have really been kind of underrepresented. We've got India, Indonesia, and Malaysia playing, which was really exciting to see. Is there any, nations you guys are kind of keeping tabs on, or has this competition not really been on your watch list so far?
Well, I was casting the Sunday of it. So first of all, SRK is really struggling because he thinks, should I stop that event? Bro, you're doing fucking God's work here. Like, look what communities you actually... Like, I'm getting mad that he thinks about that this event is bad. Like, look what nations are playing. Look what you have done to the Baltic states. And I think the Baltics are actually... great to see that they've made it almost every team into the last rounds of the Swiss mode. I'm going to explain that later, what that actually is. But this event is just a perfect display how it should be. Like a very casual event, like without prize pool. We have maps that are known for the players. Matchmaking has thriven under this before that one again. There was so much activity in there. And I think it's just a great thing to have. Really, it's a great thing to have this here where we have nations coming up, also combining and creating a community and just doing scrims, playing against each other, playing with each other, not to get that one wrong, of course, and also having various different casts in different languages, POV streams, and I really dig this event. It's a really good event. Playoffs will be this week, and the matches beforehand. So the qualification is over. The top 16 has qualified, but I'm going to go into that a bit later. because I really, really like that event. That is my impression. What is your guys' impression? Have you followed it really? I mean, I was very involved with casting the last days, so I had some really close matches to cover there with Boney. What have you guys picked up from that, actually?
Yeah, I was really busy actually around that time, so I did try to watch. Like, I think I watched one match from Germany too, just one match though. But I mean, I don't know the insights as good as you, and I don't know if anything even remotely went wrong in the event. I didn't hear of anything. I didn't notice anything watching, so I don't have anything bad to say about the event. Obviously, so obviously SRK is doing a great job. Everyone hosting the tournament is by default already, in my opinion, doing mostly a great job. It's really difficult to say that when you're doing something for the community and without asking for anything back, it's really difficult. Like, even if you have like some slip ups, some minor difficulties, you can't say, "Oh yeah, man, this sucked." It's just obviously it doesn't work like that. Like, if you invest your private time just for the sake of giving other people the event and making a lot of people happy with that event, then already by that you're doing an amazing job, and no one can say otherwise, in my opinion. It's definitely also an event that a lot of people wanted back. Of course, it's now a little bit more casual compared to how like Nations Cup used to work in Trackmania 2 or even in Nations Forever days, which is definitely not a bad idea, in my opinion. I think it actually works quite well with the format, because during the time where like in the old days, even though it was sort of competitive, it wasn't really taken that seriously in a way. So the casual side of things with that tournament definitely worked well, in my opinion. And I'm really interested to see this weekend's the finals. I'm not really sure if I can watch them, because I'm still obviously like at my parents right now and doing other stuff. But I'll definitely try to watch it. And even if I don't, I think it's great that it exists, and the concept is pretty nice. So, like, just the concept is nice, right? So I don't really see any issues with that from the outside.
Mm-hmm.
Same, because you can definitely, you have like also a system. Okay, what map should we have? The people can decide, and you literally have that event every 3 months, and then you can see players will perform, and this could really establish. And I think hosting an event 4 times a year could be really great, where you just have 2 weeks. There's the qualification, there's this, and maybe one team is not able to participate. And I think also this event is not addressed to the professional players, let's say to the real banger players, that they just form a team and annihilate someone. Maybe France could do that. I think it's more for the side to form a community, have some fun, like the old school events that we were talking about. Paul, you were mentioning them, having team events in the past where it's more about the prestige than about the prize pool. And a prize pool is not always needed. Of course, it would be great to have money, but I think everyone has to start somewhere, and you can just not expect hosting that second edition and expect the prize pool. And of course, in a team event, prize pools are in general very, very harsh, because there are 5 players in a team. Splitting it up is always not that good, and I think just keep it like that, see how this goes. 32 teams is a great success, in my opinion, and it's great to see that. So the streaming experience was also very good. Production value was there, and the matches were good. But I'm not going to spoil too much.
And can I also say, as a little bit of a side note there, something I have kind of had my eye on over the past few months, just to give a shout out to some of the new casters actually who are coming into the Trackmania scene, namely the likes of Quantum Deathcat, and you're mentioning there the epic boner himself, Mr. Boney C, getting involved in Trackmania, who has an awesome, and I mean awesome, hairdo, just to make that clear. So, but yeah, it's lovely to see some new people are kind of getting involved. I mean, I really don't care about the streaming side of things of Trackmania. I mean, I was always a competitively based person. I care about who gets involved and the casting side of things. Medic's different. Medic, this is... No, I don't mean it's a job for Medic, but Medic is not coming to do this just because he fell in love with Trackmania, then decided to come cast it. Like, it's been a different story for Medic. Not to say that he didn't come here because he didn't think it was a good idea, but I'm not going to get into that. He's a little bit different. But yeah, some people coming in and genuinely getting interested in the side of casting and Trackmania and things like that. As I said, QDC and Boney, and yeah, absolutely, it's fantastic to see Medic coming in. Initially, I thought it was a little bit like, okay, he's just going to come in for Trackmania Grand League, and he's not really going to do anything. But he seems like he really enjoys the game, and he seems like he's really getting involved in a lot of things to do with Trackmania. So good for him, good for the community. I'm sure that's a two-sided relationship that works really nicely there. So very nice to see that both parties are getting a good deal out of that, so to speak. So, but yeah, a lot of new casters coming in, interesting, of course. So who knows? I mean, I'm not entirely sure about the French casting scene, if that's kind of taking a little bit of an upswing. But yeah, I mean, the TSCC's... I mean, I've always missed the Nations Cup concept, personally. And as you say there, Turbo, I think it's a perfect example to bring back something of a, prestige to be coming back to tournaments. And to, in this case, bringing back a prestige that isn't necessarily translating to having the best players on track. It's translating to giving the matches meaning, in this case, which I think the Nations Cup held a very special place in the sense of you're not necessarily driving for yourself almost. You're driving for your nation. That's a different experience that not a lot of people in Trackmania have experienced. They play for themselves, they play for a team, but playing for a nation is a little bit different, and I'm certainly sure that it does attach that little bit of prestige. How about you guys? Any of you guys played for your nation at all in Trackmania? I mean, maybe you, Shorty, in the past, perhaps.
But... I did 2 times, actually. I even played Dirt once.
Wow.
There's a lot about the German Dirt community, to be honest, but yeah, me and Marius, we tried our best. No, yeah, I did play it twice, and it's exactly like you said. It's definitely giving it a different sort of feeling. It's just you represent your nation, even if it's like. I mean, you just do it because you like the game, obviously. It just gives you a sort of different motivation as well for the event itself and everything. Just like it's basically like you said, it just gives the tournament its own sort of meaning, and you even if it might sound weird to some people, especially people that might not be that much into Trackmania as we are, you do feel proud representing your nation in such an event, even though obviously, like, if you look at it from an outside perspective, it's just nothing. You just play the game, you just have some fun, you don't have any prizes and stuff, but it's definitely way more than that, obviously, right? So it's a lot more than that, and if you're part of it, then I think everyone knows what we mean, and most people, even on the outside, also can understand that, I think.
Yeah, I mean, definitely it's something I've kind of missed out on personally through my time in Trackmania, but did you ever get that chance, Kai?
No, I think I was interested in, let's say, the previous events where the Nations League, or however it was called back then, was there, but I haven't played for my nation. Maybe you can say the Raider Cup, or like at the beginning of the Raider Cup, where I was representing one of the few Germans who was actually in a Raider team, and it was me versus French players, and they were, the German won, but like that was just some friendly banter between me and my teammates there back then. But I haven't played for my nation because I was also not that competitive back then, I think. That was also one of my biggest issues. So I cannot really say too much about that, but I mean, I can understand there will be a rivalry between countries. Maybe they've played a scrim against each other and the one team lost and now they're winning, or they're really motivated to beat this nation. And this also is like really pushing yourself, even though it's not for prize money, it's for more, it's for prestige. And why we play that game, to also have a more casual approach and a more fun approach. Of course, it can get really competitive, but it's not for any prize money or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yeah. So it's really nice to see that people are getting the opportunity to play in such an environment also. But one thing which I've seen in this tournament, which is incredibly encouraging and also, feels really good about the event, is that this is an event going into it where, we've spoken a lot up before about how we felt there wasn't really any development in how you could progress as a player. You either got matchmaking, which has some sort of kind of skill group, and then you have tournaments which are populated by Trackmania Grand League players. Some of the best players are populating these tournaments, and you're just going to go in and you're going to get your shit fucked up. That's how it's going to happen. It's a fact of science, But something I've found very nice in this event is I still feel the event means something, but when you look at some of the teams that are coming out now, not knocking on any of the teams by any stretch of the imagination, by saying, oh, they're not who I expected. More that I feel it's great that they're not who I expected, because this is other people having an opportunity to shine. You go into Italy, it's not Beppo Extreme or Siap or something like that. It's some other Italian players who have thought, we want to group together and we want to play, a tournament like this. Italy's got a team, and it's not players I expected. That's very nice to see. I mean, if you were to, obviously I know a lot of the UK guys, but when you would immediately think a UK team, you'd be thinking like Sabre, Leo, Pack, Jono, these sort of players. I don't think any of them are playing in this tournament. It's two full, English teams, which are players who wouldn't immediately come to mind. There's two French teams. Now, these two French teams could only, one of them, I suppose, is more, I think, group of friends. But the second team, the best of the best, and could only be made better if the alpha Frenchman himself, House of Tales, who's just appeared, a shout out to my fellow streamer, was as part of their team. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of teams out there. And like I said, I love to see some of the other nations being represented. But I mean, do you guys think it's really good to be having teams which have not as well renowned players? Do you look at that as a positive in the way I do, or do you look at it as a negative in the sense that it does not carry the same prestige now because the best players aren't playing?
We have seen it with Team Germany. I mean, if competitive players want to play, they just create a second team, and of course, maybe some or one or two people are getting excluded. But then, of course, we've seen it with Fref. He's from Poland, but there's also the rule that there can be one person from a different country, from a foreign country, who can play with the other team. So there's always an opportunity how you can still play with your friends, or maybe they're from a different region or from a different country. And I think it's good because that really gives them the platform to maybe play their first competition. I've heard a lot from SRK that this might have been the first competition for a lot of players. And I mean, a good example are really the Baltics. I've seen a lot of names because I was casting the BTL. They have come very far in this tournament, and even Latvia is in the playoffs. So it's just great to see this development in the country, because hardly anyone is playing the game for too long, and you can see that this is very, fruitful. I think that's also a word that you can use, and I think it's a good thing. So, and if a player wants to play like Pack or maybe even Sabre, but he's probably busy with other things, they can just open a second team or just say, okay, maybe you don't have the time, I can play. But then, of course, it would be a bit unbalanced. For example, Pack would play with the other, and you get the point. So the teams have to be on one skill level, I think. And we have seen that in Germany or in France as well. Of course, the French teams are both very good. But yeah, that is just my take on it. It's a good idea to just open up the competitive side to every player and make them just experiencing a competition other than Cup of the Day, where you can also feel the pressure, of course.
Obviously, if you talk about if it's good or bad, I think for once you have to decide, because it depends on what the tournament is trying to achieve. In my opinion, obviously, it's not as prestigious as the old ones, where literally the best of every country would definitely participate. and play against each other. But I don't think that's what this tournament wants to be and what this tournament, in my opinion, should be. We already talked a lot about that strengthening the communities in other countries is something that you would like to see, and this is definitely a tournament that does this in a great way, in my opinion, because you said that most people in other countries just stop after a little bit of time, and I definitely can see why. I mean, we three, or like most people of the community in Trackmania, we are used to always talk English with each other. I literally don't care if we talk German or English within our TeamSpeak. Even if the stream even if Granadi shuts down the stream, sometimes we just continue in English until like 5 minutes later we finally notice, wait, we can actually also talk in German right now. But if you start
Toby
out,
and Prague.
especially. Yeah, but I mean, come on. If other people are around, I just hate talking in German. Even if I'm just talking to a specific person, I just hate talking in the language the others of the group don't understand. I just don't like the group dynamic of that. It's just something I don't like. So I just keep talking English if other people of the group wouldn't understand me. Even if I'm not talking to them, I just want them to feel included. You know, that's how I'm doing anyway, though. Especially if you're younger, your English obviously is not gonna be 10 out of 10 instantly, and it's nice to have like maybe a couple of friends and talk with them, and especially if you are interested in more competitive sides of things, you need teams and stuff, and if you instantly need somebody out of your country to play with them and have fun with them, and you instantly need English as well for that, then obviously a lot of people might not stick with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly, and it has been really nice to see, fresh interest. That's the point I keep harping on about. It's nice to see fresh faces, countries involved again that I thought were done with the game, and I think this is the start of development coming towards communities which. When it felt like a lot of the direction for this game was staying in France, you now have don't get me wrong, some of it's not as solid, but you do still have a base of interest in a lot of countries now. You have a base of interest of players who would show up to an event like this, or they would play an event like this if it was in a different country. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how this develops. Who knows? I might even play it. Dun dun dun. But yeah, I think it's
a great comeback.
Yeah, the fantastic comeback to play Nadeo maps, with fucking Team England number 3.
Competitive comeback from the player who never had a competitive.
All right, okay, right. We've let's not be a broken record now.
Of course,
I want new roasts only. New roasts only. Okay. Yeah, see, yeah, exactly. Now, yeah. So one of the other things I did want to ask you guys about, because it's something I've only kind of really seen a few social media messages about, but I suppose more tailored to your audience now, would be the recent kind of Volvic charity race, which was kind of organised by some of the Berlin International Gaming guys, and I wondered if you guys could kind of, I mean, I'll be the audience here. I mean, tell me a little bit about that and what that was about.
Yeah, that was as well. Well, yeah, I was in Massa's stream when some of the invited players have been announced. There were Scrappy, Trilux, Felix, then of course Massa and Granadi. Those were the 5 invited players, and then 5 players were qualified from Time Attack. So the 5 fastest players. We had Danik B, Dexter, Wosile, Megorian, and yes, one more player.
And yes.
So we had 5 players there, and then those 5 players played in, of course, semifinals. One semifinal was a bit easier because there were only Felix and also Mr. Trilux in, and then there was one death semifinal. I think it was semifinal 2 with Granadi, and then the top 3 went through from each semifinal, and the top 6 players were in the final then, and the winner was one player by the name of Massa, And yeah, he won that tournament, and it was for charity. I don't know how much money they raised. I had something with 5,000 euro in mind, but it was casted from Trilux, of course. He didn't make it into the grand final, but Felixson did. He has beaten Scrappy. Yes, he has. And
Wow.
then in the
Okay.
grand... Yeah, I think Scrappy was untrained or something. I don't know. But he has actually beaten him, or maybe it was just an incentive, and they talked about that. But it was more like... Yeah, I mean, some people took it very seriously, or just it was their first competition in days or in ages, like Danik B just coming back out of nowhere, just getting the top 1 spot in the time attack like it's nothing. So that was very cool to see. But I wasn't really following the event too much. I was skipping a bit to the VOD, but that was it for me. I mean, I cannot really tell you too much about it else than what I've done right now.
Yeah, but sadly, I also can't really talk much about it because on Saturday I had to get undrunk, get sober.
Undrunk. Okay, cool.
Get sober, and then I just I woke up and found out, holy shit, I have to drive 4 hours tomorrow without having whatever. And yeah, on Sunday I had to drive 4 hours with my car, drive home and stuff. So, what is wrong with you? What happened?
I love that. Undrunk. I love it.
Das ist auch immer unbetrunken, ne? Unbetrunken.
Yes, sometimes I am.
Toby, sometimes you're a real pipega, really. It's
yeah, sorry that my English is not like that. Okay, I'm in a training camp. Everything hurts.
I thought in a training camp for English.
I'm physically exhausted, and my mind is also blank.
I only hear excuses, like Paul with his competitive career. But yeah, I'm in a roast mode today.
As competitive something.
Yeah, the tournament. It was a charity event. It's always great to see that. I think it was Warrior for Madagascar or something like that, if I recall it correctly. So of course a great cause that they're doing there with Volvic, and also that Bill International Gaming is getting involved in the Trackmania. It's always good to see some exposure. I think also the viewing numbers from Felix and also Trill were great. So cool to see that exposure. Good maps. The maps were really, really good looking.
Yeah, can we talk about how fucking good looking they were? I mean, holy shit!
It was incredible.
What the fuck happened there? I don't think
you guys tell me.
The thing is, I don't think we're gonna see a tournament with similar good-looking maps in quite a while. Actually, I think.
I'm organizing.
Yeah, no. I watched you building. No. Unless you sign a contract with HTMH, then maybe. But not sure.
Maybe I'm HTMH.
The T in HTMH is turbo.
Yeah.
The H is
Luckers.
Hello.
Hello.
This is your fault. You started this by roasting me. Now
it's fine. Like, you can roast me, whatever. It's completely fine. You do that, and I do it.
You don't have to roast me, please, because the chat is already roasting me anyway.
Yeah,
in all fairness, you two guys get called cute at least, so there's something.
Yeah, but I'm also getting called Harry.
Harry Potter.
I think next week I'm just gonna draw a scar.
Harry.
I mean, just thinking about that, really, like, to give you guys a look into the future, just before Trackmania Grand League. There are so many events coming up. Trackmania Formula League will come up. Then the Trackmania Masters Team Cup. I organize my competition as well. And then there are plenty of other things coming up. So I think Trackmania is getting really busy again. And I really like that. So it's like we have a dry streak at the moment, and it's also time to maybe see the new casters in action, maybe some unique ideas. Of course, I presented a new unique idea for myself in the cup, and I hope that other event organizers are doing that as well. But it's time that Trackmania uses the hype that it has at the moment. I mean, viewer numbers have skyrocketed, not only for me, but also for other streamers, and the interest is there in Trackmania. There are 3,000 players each day playing the Cup of the Day. That is great. And the game is just on a really, it's rising, and it's great to see. And I hope that those events, let's say the Trackmania Formula League, which is a more casual event, is also getting accepted and played, like maybe even more than before. Like that's like my thesis now to start a new discussion here.
For sure.
Yeah.
Or should we roast us again?
I mean,
we can continue on that. Maybe not.
There'll be plenty of time for that, not for you guys to worry. We've got whole weeks of podcasts ahead, so just you guys wait to see what I've got in store for you. But I mean, want to actually bring up a point someone mentioned in the chat there to get your thoughts on it. This was from Fab and Shane, if I'm saying that right. Was basically asking, do you think the Cup of the Day reruns help with the rest of the world becoming more invested with Trackmania? What do you think?
I'm playing the 3 a.m. Cup of the Day, and usually it's getting dominated by, Europeans. So, of course, there's some playing, but it's 70 to 80%. Maybe the low divisions, it's different, but Div 1 is usually occupied by Germans, French players.
I think it's difficult for us to say because obviously we are Europeans, we are also not, we don't really know the insides of those communities as well as obviously others. But I think in general, one thing it definitely does is it makes Cup of the Day more accessible to those regions. I mean, I don't think beginner players really care about if it's the actual Cup of the Day or if it's just a rerun. I don't think they care about it. So there are definitely going to be players that previously just couldn't play the Cup of the Day, and they are now going to be happy playing the reruns. Like a lot of people, like for most people, it's really difficult to think about that because for me, it's just Division 1 Cup. Like I mean, personally for me, not in general, obviously, but most people play Cup of the Day in a very casual way, but still competitively. So they get in Division 4, 5, 10, 15, maybe even above that. And they don't really care about if Europe is dominating the rerun in Division 1 and 2, Like, it doesn't really matter to them. So those divisions are probably also populated more with North America, for example, and maybe even Asia. I have no idea. But so in the lower regions, I could definitely see that it's probably working.
I mean,
or hopefully at least, like that's the intent of it. So I do hope it does work. I mean, I have no statistics about it at all, but well, we can just hope for the best.
Yeah. I mean, I really enjoy the fact that there's reruns available for the regions which it does suit. I mean, we've talked at times gone past about how a lot of tournaments only suited like a specific time zone or something like that, whereas something like this did have the capacity to become much more accessible, and it has then done. But one thing that I do feel very, not the need to be very critical. I mean, I don't need to say bad things, but I do anyway because I'm an asshole. But one thing that I really didn't like about the fact that there's reruns is you have people that played the Cup of the Day and they've then played the map for a few hours and then just go on and dominate everyone else's Cup of the Day. And I'm just sitting here like, why? You know what I mean? I personally don't understand that. And I think it's a really shitty way to go about things, if I'm honest. I don't like the idea of people playing one Cup of the Day and then going on to play another Cup of the Day. Like, for me, it seems like you're stepping on other people's toes, And I think it's pretty shitty. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I saw Mudda put up something the other day of like how he was like the first person to win all 3 Cups of the Days. And I'm sitting here thinking, that sounds fucking ridiculous. That sounds like the guy who posts a screenshot to get a 50 bomb and his Smurf account in Counter-Strike or something like that. Like, it's ridiculous. I don't think you should be allowed to do it, to be honest. I think,
how would you fix it?
Well, as Tattoo says there, you get a slot of 3 Cup of the Days, you pick one and you're locked into it. There you go. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's as simple as that. It does, because of course you could limit it to like whatever countries like certain countries are able to access this, but people would just change their countries. But like, if you get Cup of the Day today, and it has 3 buttons, one for the normal one for the one after, one for the one after, and you click one, you're locked into that, then that's it. You know what I mean? Like, or once you play one, you don't get to play the others. You're locked out of them, Because see, if it was a different map, whatever, I would still say it's a bit shitty, but I would get over it pretty easily. But it's the same map, so these guys go in with a massive advantage. Of course, there's not many people from other regions who are going to compete. That's just the way things are at the moment. But it's like, I think it's fucking ridiculous, Like, I mean, if people enjoy it, sure, whatever. But I mean, yeah, I think if you're just going to go there and it's going to be your first Cup of the Day, sure, whatever. If you're going to go there and mess around, sure, whatever. But I would kind of put the shoe on the other foot. I've been in tournaments when I've been, when I was coming up through the scene 2015 and 16, and I've seen what it's like when you're playing against players who are significantly better than you, but who are just fucking around and they're just having, a laugh and stuff like that. It can be incredibly demotivating, It can be almost humiliating at times. And I'm not here to like fucking guilt trip the shit out of people who do play it. You know what I mean? That's not the kind of part I want to play. But it's just like, I mean, don't brag about winning reruns of Cup of the Day. You know what I mean? Because it's a shitty thing to do in the first place.
Yeah. But at least don't brag about it. But
that's why you get half amount of the trophies. So when I played the second Cup of the Day rerun, I was also untrained and I made it into Div 1. So it's definitely possible to make it, even though if you're untrained. And I think everyone has the same amount of time. It doesn't mean that the person who is from North America is just coming home at 7 or like at their time and I barely can play. So I think even 10-20 minutes is enough to learn the map even before. So what would you do? You can watch a VOD stream. You can watch someone playing the 7 p.m. version at our time now. And what do you want to do against that? And I think also the point here is that it's more casual. If you cannot play the 19 Cup of the Day, yeah, so what? It's of course bad luck, but the game is of course more popular in Europe. And that's why I think they should be happy that there's a Cup of the Day, but of course it's unfortunate to see players from other countries overrolling that. But I mean, when I say, of course, I'm an experienced player, but even if I didn't practice, I make it into Div 1. It's possible, And also yesterday's map, I wasn't practicing. I was practicing, I think, 20 minutes on that map, and of course the Cup there at 19, but there I went out very early, so I had like 30 minutes beforehand playing that map. And also the others, I mean, the server was not filling just before. They are playing the map beforehand. They're logging into their PC, and I think it's just more casual, but it's not like that they're gonna see the map for the first time, because you can join the server, you will play on that, and you will not join just when the cup starts at 3 a.m. So that's my take on it. And you should not take it that seriously, because eventually it's just a fun event with 5 trophy 7s. But yeah, you should maybe not brag about this, because you cannot compare Cup of the Day with 300 players or with 3,000. Yeah, and that's a complete difference, I think. So you have a point, but I think everyone is definitely practicing a map beforehand. And yeah, I like the casual approach on that, actually.
I mean, what I would like to know, I really would like to know the opinion of like some actual North American players, like maybe especially like the beginner players, because one good thing about people being able to play the rerun every time is you just had a number like 300 players around that. How many divisions is that? It's like maybe 4 or 5 divisions.
Five
Divisions. Yeah, around 5 divisions. How many people would actually play the reruns if you would only be allowed to play 1 Cup of the Day each day? I mean, obviously most people play the official Cup of the Day and not the rerun. How many would there actually be left to play those morning knockouts, like in the morning or in the night? Especially because it's just, in a way, it's just not that serious of a tournament. Even the normal Cup of the Day in its essence is just a fun tournament. And even though a lot of us or a lot of players take it quite seriously, at least in Division 1, but it's also a knockout format, so even if you practice the maps, you can easily make a mistake. It's not like training the map that much and being like maybe half a second or a second faster than before makes you more consistent necessarily. I mean, obviously it sort of does as well, but I just don't view it as that big of an issue. I just think, and you also do have downsides if you would limit the participation to just one cup of a day. I do agree with the points you're saying. I don't think you can neglect those points. It's definitely something that can make it less fun for North Americans, for example, or for Asians, for the respective time zones of those reruns. But I think the positives so far do outweigh the negatives, in my opinion, just because of the nature of the event and the player numbers. You have to consider that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you guys will know better about that than I do, of course, being the fact that I've still not played a cup of the day. But yeah, I mean, it's nice to see that at the very least these different kind of regions are getting the chance to have, a crack at cup of the day. I remember sitting in, I think it was Rezier's stream, and he was talking about trying to play like Trackmania Grand League or Open Grand League would have been, and he was having to stay up to like 3 o'clock in the morning and stuff like that. And I always thought that was a bit ridiculous, and especially as Trackmania is now catering to a much wider audience, it definitely does. It definitely should give the chance to, it definitely should give these people a chance to, play at a competition. I know it sounds a little bit bizarre doing that. I mean, I'm sure you guys will know him a little bit, but at least I've had some talks with him, especially recently. Mick Plyer, an American player who was formerly of Team A&E. That's how I met him. Now plays primarily TMNF, if I'm correct. Plays RPG and all the rest of that kind of stuff. But he is from America, and he was always telling me how frustrating it was that every single event was at a time that just would not work for Americans. If it was during the week, unless it's going to be 12 o'clock or 1 a.m. for us, it just wouldn't work for people over there. It wouldn't. He wouldn't even have the chance to play it. At weekends, he'd have to be, hoping he wasn't working in the weekends or hoping he wasn't doing anything throughout the day. Otherwise, he wouldn't have had the chance to play. I can definitely see the need for reruns, and I'm definitely very glad they have came back. They have came into the game in the first place, and hopefully, again, this will bring perhaps even more countries into the TSCC now that people are getting more of a taste of competitive Trackmania. But I didn't really see any other questions or any other points to bring up today. How about you guys? Any thoughts on your mind for the rest?
I do have an idea about maybe the reruns still, because what I also think, Division 1 obviously is a whole another level compared to other divisions in a way. Like obviously at the middle divisions, for us, like if we play, like if the top players play, you either get Division 1 or at the worst you get Division 2 or 3, right? But if you're a casual, like on some maps you get Division 20, on some maps you get Division 10, so it's a completely different level. So with less players in Division 1, like with 300 players, obviously the skill difference in Division 1 is going to be way higher. And I don't think it does make a big of a difference if that one random really good guy that just demolishes you in Division 1 is in European or not, because even if the Europeans wouldn't play that, the skill difference in those reruns would still be that high. So just because it's in a European, it doesn't really make it worse, in my opinion, because North Americans can quite well also play the normal cup of the day, then completely train the map for the rerun and just demolish everyone else there as well. Obviously it's less likely for them, but you don't have to play the cup of the day for that. You just have to train the map a little bit for, and if you're a top level player, then you can demolish everyone there as well. It doesn't really matter if you're a European or not in that sense, I can get that. I can understand that people might be salty about it, but if you think about it, it doesn't really make a difference, in my opinion.
Yeah, it completely doesn't, because You know, I was talking about that with the experience that, of course, I have with 12 years. And yeah, what can I do against it? If I just pick up a map fast and even can learn it in the 50 minutes where it's coming up, it's my luck, even though maybe some find it frustrating, you know, to see, okay, yeah, Turbo plays this map for 10 minutes and it's already faster. But that's how things are. I mean, what can I change about that? Of course, I'm not standing myself over others, but I most likely make Div 1 there because there are only 300 players compared to, let's say, the real Cup of the Day, where I'm usually Div 2 or maybe Div 3, maybe Div 1 a bit more often at the moment. But, you know, it is what it is. But maybe, of course, if I didn't play, there would still be someone demolishing the others. And I think everyone should be able to play, to be honest. But that's just my take on it. I think everyone should be able to play the 3 a.m. Cup of the Day because that's usually not a time where people are awake, besides me and Mark.
And Mother, apparently.
Yeah, but Mother is not... Yeah, okay, that's something different then, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if you talk about the other rerun as well in the morning, then...
Yeah, I've never played that, actually.
Yeah, Marius is playing those, I think. But
yeah, Marius is playing every Cup of the Day.
Marius is playing everything in general.
Yes.
Morning knockouts in United, or in not United, but in Trackmania 2 morning knockouts, 11 p.m.
Whatever.
What? It's fucking Saturday, okay? Why? But I mean, if he enjoys it, it's fine. I just can't really understand it myself.
That's just the man, isn't it?
He
The
is.
Save Meister.
Mm.
Yeah, he's
Exactly.
streaming with a camera on him lately.
Yep.
Is he? Oh,
He
I
is.
need to check him out now.
Yeah, he's handsome.
I mean, well, there's some people you just hear and you know they're going to be handsome, you know? Marius
Like
is
you.
just one of those. Well,
Thank you.
I mean, what can I say? You know, it just rolls off the tongue, as they say. But yeah, I didn't really have any other points, at least, to bring up for this week's episode. So there's maybe a few things we can cover, but again, we'll leave that to next week. We will actually be here next week, so not to worry. This is not real part-time podcasting. I suppose by definition it is, since we only do it once a week, but don't come for us. But anyway, that is going to be it for us, at the very least, for today, for episode number 38 or 39. Erwin might
38.
shout at me for forgetting. 38, okay. I'm glad one of us is at least on the ball. But yeah, I hope you guys, thank you very much for everyone, of course, giving us some little things to talk about here. And, you know, at least on behalf of the other two guys, you guys get called cute, so thank you for calling for at least giving my fellow members of the podcast something to be happy about. But yeah, it's really nice to have you guys back here once again, and we will be back next week, same time, same place. And we will have some more things to talk about. Yeah, we did cover it a little bit, Berserker, so you can check back in the VOD, which I believe will be uploaded on both Reddit and YouTube by Mr. Turbo himself.
Yep.
But enjoy the rest of your evenings, everyone. It's still sunny here, although I've had to block it out so I don't die. But yeah, I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their evening. And that is going to be it from your Let's Talk Trackmania crew. Once again, the podcast is brought to you by esac.gg as always. But it is going to be it for us tonight. So enjoy and see you later.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.